Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sada Shiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Parampara. In our last session, we commenced study on a new text, Shri Rama Geeta. Aham prapanna asmi padambujam prabhoho bhavapavargam tava yogi bhavitam yathanjasa jnanam apara varithim sukham tarishyami tathanu shadimam. Shri Rama Geeta from this Adhyatma Ramayana, 5th chapter of Uttarakanda. Lord Rama is known to be an embodiment of perfection, perfection personified, an ideal son, ideal brother, ideal disciple, ideal friend, ideal husband, ideal king. But very little is known him being a spiritual teacher, unlike Sri Krishna, who is well known through Bhagavad Gita, his teachings to Arjuna. So this has come in Shri Rama Geeta. We also briefly saw the Gita, Shri Rama Geeta Mahatmyam, the importance of Rama Geeta and the benefits of chanting Shri Rama Geeta. It can give the desired result also. Not only that, it can get rid of all the negative karma phalas that may have accumulated. All the sins it can clear, and so on. So this Rama Geeta begins, the entire Ramayana is actually a conversation between Mahadev and Parvati. Mahadev is relating, telling the story of Lord Rama to his consort Parvati. And in this process, she asks Mahadev that how did Lord Rama live after he made that immense sacrifice of sending his wife Sita to the forest, to Valmiki's ashram. How did he live his life? So she was curious to know. And this Shri Rama Geeta begins with Shri Mahadeva Uvacha. So he is telling Parvati how he lived, and all the teachings come in that. Tataha Jagan Mangala Mangala Atmana Vidhaya Ramayana Kirti Muttamam Chachara Purva Charitam Raghuttamah Rajarshi Varyahi Abhisevitam Yatha. So Tataha, thereafter. Thereafter means after sending Sita away to the forest, to Valmiki's ashram. Thereafter, what was he doing? Of course, he was ever blessing the world of all the beings, all the creatures. The great hero of Ramayana, Ramayana Kirti Muttama, Raghuttamaha. Raghuttama, the best among the Raghu Vamsha, the dynasty of Raghus. And then, how did he live his life? Chachara Purva Acharitam Rajarshi Varhahi Abhisevitam Yatha. As all the former royals in his dynasty, all the royal sages in his dynasty, how they lived their life. So he followed the same pattern, and he also lived a life of tapas while ruling the kingdom. So Purva Acharitam Rajarshi, the royal sages, the way the royal sages in his own dynasty lived, he followed the same pattern and continued his life of tapas while ruling Ayodhya. Now, Saumitrina Prushta Udara Buddhina Rama Katha Praha Puratani Shubha Rajnya Pramattasya Nrugasya Shapatah Dvijasya Tiryakatvam Athaha Raghava. Saumitrina, the son of Sumitra, that is Lakshmana. So, whenever Lord Rama used to be free from all his duties as the king, administrative duties, and relaxing and alone with himself, so Lakshmana would approach him, and Udara Buddhina, the large-hearted Lord Rama, told him many stories, many ancient stories he told him. And in those stories, he also told the story of King Nruga. So, as we saw last time, many a times it so happens that by no fault of ours, we have to suffer sometimes. And the example is here, King Nruga's story. But hidden in this story is also Lord Rama's own suffering. So this King Nruga used to distribute the cattle. Cattle used to be the wealth during those days. So in his royal herd, there were thousands of cattle. So every auspicious day or auspicious occasion, he used to distribute cattle among the wise people, the learned pandits, and also the poor Brahmins. And one poor Brahmin was also given the cattle, and from among those cattle, one cow escaped and went and mingled with the royal herd. So now with thousands and thousands of cows, this one cow will not be able to, how would the king know that a cow escaped from somebody whom I had given it in charity and it has joined my herd? How would the king know among thousands of cows? And on the next occasion, when he again started distributing the cows, the same cow the old Brahmin spotted, the same cow was there in the royal herd, and that was given to someone else by the king. Now, here it is no fault of the king. That old Brahmin should have taken care of the cattle which he got in the gift, in charity. So he should have taken very good care of those cows so that none of it will escape. And he committed his mistake of not taking care of the cows that he got in donation, and then it went and joined the royal herd. And then, of course, this Brahmin knew which is the cow, and when he saw the king giving it to someone else on that other occasion, and then he said, and he pointed out to the king that the cow that you had given me, that you are giving to someone else now, which escaped from my possession and joined your herd, and you are giving to someone else. So he cursed. It's easy to curse, you see. So that curse, and then he was turned into a Tirakyoni, that is, he turned into chameleon. Now, in this, it is no fault of that king, but sometimes when the fault is not with us, we have to still suffer. That is how life is. Like, now there is a hidden story here. The hidden thing is that Lord Rama is also suffering. No fault of his, but he being a king, had he been an ordinary citizen of Ayodhya, he couldn't have cared less whatever anybody says. But being the king, and kings during those days were considered as the servant of their citizens of that country. So obviously, they have to be very careful. He is not an ordinary citizen of Ayodhya. And therefore, as a king, he had to take that step and banish his wife Sita. So he also suffered by no fault of his. And he knew very well the chastity of Sita. So he told such stories to Lakshmana, and through these stories we learn a lot of values. As a spiritual seeker, these kind of stories are also important, that help us in evolving spiritually and imbibing those values that are required to be a spiritual seeker. A lot of titiksha is required, forbearance, that comes in Shat Sampati, and one of the qualities that are required in Sadhan Chatushtaya. Then, Kadachit Ekanta Upasthitam Prabhum Ramam Ramalalita Pada Pankajam Saumitra Asadita Shuddha Bhavan Pranamya Bhaktya Vinyan Vitah Abravit. Kadachit Ekanta. Once Lakshmana, he spotted Lord Rama sitting all alone, free from his administrative duties. Rama, whose lotus feet is adored by Lakshmi. So that Saumitra, Lakshmana, son of Sumitra, Asadita Shuddha Bhavanaha. Asadita Shuddha Bhavana. That Lakshmana who had attained a high level of purity of his mind. How did he attain that purity of his mind? Because 14 years he served selflessly Lord Rama in the Vanvasa. So because of this selfless service, he attained a high purity of his mind. So he was, and of course, Vairagya and Viveka was there in him. And therefore, he was a highly qualified seeker, and Uttam Adhikari we can say. So, Asadita Shuddha Bhavanaha, he had attained that purity of mind after serving selflessly for 14 years. Then, Pranamya Bhaktya Vinyan Vitah Abravit. So then he prostrated in devotion to Lord Rama. And then with humility, with humbleness and humility, he said, what did he say? Tvam Shuddha Bodha Asi Hi Sarva Dehinam Atmasya Adishaha Asi Nirakrutihi Swayam Pratiyase Jnana Drusha Mahamate Padabja Bhrunga Hita Sanga Sangina. So now Lakshmana is addressing Lord Rama. Lord Rama is his blood brother, his eldest brother, his blood brother. But he is not looking at Lord Rama as his brother, with whom he must have played as children. So he addresses him, Tvam Shuddha Bodha Asi, your pure awareness. So he had understood it very well, that my brother is no ordinary human being. His pure awareness. Shuddha Bodha Asi. Indeed, Sarva Dehinam Atmasya. You are the self of all beings. Sarva Dehinam Atmasya. Self of all beings. Who enliven all beings. Enlighten. You illumine all their experiences, all their thoughts, all their emotions. So, you are that. So, Sarva Dehinam Atmasya. Adhishaha Asi. You are the Lord of all beings. And yet, Swayam Nirakutihi, you are formless. Though he is seeing his brother in form, in a human form, he is seeing that, but he says that though you are in all beings, enlivening them, illumining all their experiences, in all beings you are there, and yet you have no form. Now, we had discussed this earlier also. If something has to be all pervasive, it cannot have a form, because form limits oneself. So he knew very well, Lakshmana knew very well who is his elder brother. He is no ordinary human being. So to be all pervasive, he has to be formless. To be infinite, one has to be formless. Form is the symbol of finite entity. So any form is there, that is limitation, limited by space and time. Form is limited by space and time. It is limited by causation also. What has caused that form? You see, so it is limited by those causes, and it is limited by objects also. Because it is limited by time and space and objects, then there is plurality, there is a sense of duality. So these limitations are there, these forms are there, so it has to be formless. So nirakriti swayam, formless. So one has to be infinite to be infinite. To be all-pervading, one has to be infinite, and to be infinite, one has to be formless. So otherwise, one is limited by space, time, causation. Limited by causation because our karma phala is the cause of our form, isn't it? So we are limited by the karma phala, the cause. Our form is limited by those causes. Now, somebody has got a male form, somebody has got a female form. That is again limited by those causes, the karma phala. Then again, in every form also, they are limited by the capacity, psychological capacity, intellectual capacity, physical capacity. They are the limitations. They are again the result of those karma phalas. And what we get in life, the experiences that we get in life, that is also limited because of those karma phalas. So form is indication of limitation of space, time, object, causation. So here he recognizes Lord Rama as infinite, formless. Pratiya se jnana dusha mahamate padabja bhunga hitta sanga sangina. So those with the eye of wisdom, Mahatmas with the eye of wisdom, they see and they especially are attached to the company of those devotees who quote the lotus feet, your lotus feet, like the bees. Then, having said this, further continued Lakshmana, Aham prapannaha asmi padam bhujam prabhoho bhavapavargam tava yogi bhavitam yathanjasa jnanam aparavaridhim sukham tarishyami tatha anushadima. So aham prapanna, I surrender. I surrender at your lotus feet, O Lord, Padam Bhujam Prabhoho, Bhavapavargam Tava Yogi Bhavitam. So, surrender to your feet can liberate people from bondage of time. Bhava Apavarga. Bhava Apavarga means, Apavarga is liberation from all the bondages, bodily existence, liberation from the cycle of birth and death, repeated cycle of birth and death. So, because in this bhava, in the samsara, in space and time, this world of plurality comes into play and it is subject to change constantly. So, and they are all temporary, momentary, fleeting, and one gets liberated from that. Bhava apavarga tava yogi bhavitam. The yogis who contemplate on those the lotus feet, which can liberate one from all bondages. Yatha. Now, yatha as anjasa ajnanam aparvaridham. So, sukham tarishyami tatha anushadimam. So, anushadimam, give me that teaching. By which anjasa, instantly, quickly, instantly, I can comfortably or effortlessly cross ajnana aparavaridham, the ocean of shoreless ocean of ignorance. So give me that teaching. Anushadimam, give me that teaching by which I can cross instantly, quickly, instantly, this shoreless ocean of ignorance, comfortably. Sukham tarishami, comfortably, easily, effortlessly. So we all want an instant solution, and that too effortless, quick. Because of course, all of us want it, but there are certain requirements. Those have to be fulfilled. Conditions apply. You see, that is available. No doubt it is available, but conditions apply. So today we'll take up a new shloka, Shlok 6. Shrutva tasomitra vachokilam sada praha prapannarti hara prasannadhim vijnanamajnana tamah prashantaye shruti prapannam chitipala bhushanah. Shrutva atha saumitra vacha akhilam tada praha prapanna artihara prasannadhi vijnanam ajnanatama prashantaye shruti prapannam chitipala bhushanah. Now, Shrutva atha, having heard everything, all that Lakshmana said, Saumitra vachaha akhilam, everything that he said, praha. So, praha, he said, prapanna artyahara. Prapanna artyahara is the one who destroys the sorrows of all those who surrender to him. So Lord Rama is referred here as prapanna artyahara, the one who destroys the sorrows of all who surrender to him. Prasannadhi. So he became prasanna chitta, happy, pleased. Any spiritual teacher will be very happy when he comes across an uttamadhikari as a seeker. So that is the most joyous moment for a teacher, to come across an uttamadhikari, an adhikari who is ready for this knowledge. So prasannadhi, Lord Rama, happy, enthusiastic, cheerful, very pleased with his brother, and he knew the condition, the status of his brother very well. Lakshmana was a great tapasvin, 14 years, they were together in the Vanvasa, and he knew very well that he is well controlled, he has well controlled his senses, his mind. He has done a lot of tapas, 14 years he didn't sleep, and selflessly he served Lord Rama. So his antakaran was shuddha, pure. Vijnanam ajnanatava prashantaye. Shruti prapannam chitipala bhushanam. So the one, Shrutipala Bhushanam, is the best of the jewels among the kings, among the royal kings. Shruti Prapanna, the one who is eager to listen. That is called a Shruti Prapanna. Vijnanam Ajnanatama Prashantaye. So he tells him that Vijnanam, that is, knowledge is the only way that can dispel, that can get rid of the darkness of ignorance. There is no other way. So, having heard all that, Lord Rama then said that if you want to get instantly, then knowledge is the only way to get rid of the darkness of ignorance. So, this knowledge which Lord Rama imparts to Lakshmana is nothing original. It is Shruti Vachanam alone, that which has come in the scriptures, in the Shruti, in the Upanishads. That alone is that is imparted to Lakshmana. Now, having said this, we move on to the next shloka. Now, Lord Rama begins his teaching. 7th shloka. Adau swavarna shramvarnita kriyaha krutva samasadita shuddha manasah samapya tatpurvamupatta sadhanah samashrayet sadgurumatmalabdhaye. Adau swavarna ashrama varnitaha kriyaha krutva समासादित शुद्ध मानसः समाप्य तत्पूर्वम उपात्त साधनः समाश्रयेत sadgurum atmalabdhaye. Now, Adav, what is to be done first of all? What is to be done? First and foremost, Adav. Swavarna ashrama varnita kriya krutva. So, Swavarna and ashrama. Whatever duties, whatever the karmas or duties that are enjoined according to our own status in the society and station in life. Varna is the status in the society. Now, Varna is the division of labor, and this division of labor depends upon the quality, the guna and karma. The quality as well as the type of work you do. So depending upon the guna and karma, the varna is decided. The division of labor is decided, and that decides the status in society. So this varna is not by birth. Varna is according to the guna and karma. Lord Krishna is very clear in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 4, he very clearly says, Chaturvarna maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagayoho. These 4 varnas, and there are subdivisions also. So I have created this based on guna and karma, the quality, the samskara, and the karma that one does, and the quality and samskara that one has, depending upon that is decided the varna. It is not by birth. Shruti Vakya is Janmana Jayate Shudraha. Janmana Jayate Shudra means by birth everybody is a Shudra without exception. By birth nobody is a Brahman, Kshatriya or Vaishya. By birth everybody is a Shudra. Then by sanskara, by guna and the karma is decided who is a Brahman, who is a Kshatriya, who is a Vaishya and who is a Shudra, depending upon the guna and karma that one exhibits, that one manifests, expresses. So according to that varna, whatever duties are enjoined, whatever karmas are enjoined, so that one has to finish. And the ashrama, the 4 ashramas, brahmacharya ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyasa ashram. They are the 4 ashramas. So the process is we go through these ashramas. Brahmacharya ashram is a student life. As a student, we acquire knowledge that will help us in grihastha ashram for artha purushartha and kama purushartha. We have a lot of desires and we have to fulfill those desires. And to fulfill those desires, wealth is also required. So we need to have skills to earn that wealth and use that wealth to fulfill our desires. Once we become a grihastha, then we have our spouse and children. Then not only our own desire, then we have to fulfill their desires also, the spouse and children's desire. So for that, artha and kama purushartha, the knowledge is acquired in the brahmacharya ashram. And then having gained that knowledge, then taking the responsibility of the grihastha ashram. Then to fulfill this artha purushartha and kama purushartha, the grihastha ashrama, then one works, earns money, earns wealth to fulfill the desires of one's own self and one's spouse and children, the requirement of the family, and so on. So while this thing is going on, at some point in time, because whenever a desire comes, we are restless, we are put into karma, and then to fulfill the desire, and once the desire is fulfilled, we gain some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness. It may be short-lived, maybe for a few seconds, few minutes, an hour or two, a day or two, and then we are back to square one. So like that, it goes on. But we continue in that. At some point in time, as we age, cross 40, cross 50, at some point in time, we start thinking, hey, I've been fulfilling so many desires. I've been earning money, fulfilling desires. I have seemed to desire some kind of pleasure, but that doesn't last. Then I'm back to square one. And then some other desire comes, and again I run after that. Then I earn money to fulfill that desire. And then I get some joy, pleasure out of it. And then again I'm back to square one. So it goes on like that. There is no end to it. So this continues. So in Grihastha Ashram, at some stage in life, one starts thinking, is there really some permanent happiness available or not? And now it was all along, one was engaged in desire prompted activities just to fulfill the desire. Now one starts looking, some viveka comes, so many desires I have fulfilled, so many actions I have done, karmas I have performed, earned money, fulfilled desire, but the joy, pleasure or happiness doesn't seem to last. Not only that, then I have seen it is not my own, but my spouse and children at home also have to fulfill their desires also, and there is no end to their desire also. It goes on continuously. So at some point in time, now he starts thinking with a discriminative intellect, viveka buddhi. So now he feels that I have to do some good karmas also. Nishkama karma, where my desires are not involved. I have no attachment to the karma phala. Then he starts getting involved in social welfare activities, selfless service, where one doesn't desire the fruits of those karmas. And that is how he goes into that. Moreover, that is how the vairagya comes. Living in a grihastha-ashrama, vairagya comes. Grihastha-ashrama is for vairagya. So, because all alone there is one ego. To manage that ego, it is so difficult. And then we take up the grihastha's life. Then a spouse comes. Then managing the other ego. So two egos are there. Then we have to manage the other ego also. Not only our own ego, but the spouse's ego also we have to manage. Then we produce children. Then several egos we have to manage. Then several egos living under the same roof, they have to be well managed, you see. It is not an easy task. That is how vairagya develops. So grihastha ashram is basically for vairagya. Grihastha ashram has to be considered as a spiritual sadhana. If you don't consider grihastha ashram as a spiritual sadhana, we can easily get frustrated. So this grihastha ashram is for that only. So adav swavarna ashrama varnita. Then grihastha ashrama's responsibilities are there. When does a grihastha ashrama responsibility get over? They get over when all our children are married off. The day our last child is married off, the same day we become vanaprastha. Then we are no more grihasthas. Then we have become vanaprastha. Then our lifestyle should change. It should not be the same as we were doing as a grihastha ashram. So we have to change our lifestyle. Then more towards the spirituality. Because now that artha purushartha and kama purushartha has got no importance now. Now the importance is more on dharma purushartha and moksha purushartha. So for the purification of the mind and so on. And that is how we continue into vanaprastha ashram with dharma purushartha, and then having attained sufficient purity of antakarana, we are now ready for the moksha purushartha, the final, that is in the sannyasa ashram. So adav swavarna ashrama varnita kriyaha, first krutva, having finished all those activities, all those duties, all those karmas that we are supposed to do as per our varna and our ashrama, kriyaha, samasadita shuddhamanasaha. Having done that, now followed by the dharma purushartha, now sufficient antakaran shuddhi, the purity of mind has been attained. Then samapya tat purvam, So then we have to give up all the activities that was done earlier. As a grihastha, as a vanaprastha also, dharma purushartha we did, artha purushartha, kama purushartha we did, dharma purushartha we did, all those karmas that we did for these fulfilling these things, artha purushartha, kama purushartha and dharma purushartha. Now those are not required. Samapya tat purvam upata sadhana. Upata sadhana means having finished all those activities, now we have acquired the qualification to be a seeker. The viveka is there, the discrimination is there to understand that there is no permanent, infinite happiness, joy or pleasure in this entire existence. Whatever we do, we cannot derive any infinite pleasure out of the finite things. Because when the objects are finite, how can you get an infinite pleasure out of that? They are all temporary. They are there now, they will not be afterwards. They will all go away. So that viveka has to come. So when that viveka has come, yet my nature is happiness, because all of us without exception want to be happy. Whoever it may be, the poorest person, the richest person, middle class person, whoever it may be, belonging to any religion, any race, any nation, whoever it may be, everybody wants to be happy. Though I don't find a permanent happiness in this entire existence, then where is it? If I want to be happy, that means it has to be my essential nature. So I have to find out what is that. So therefore, now samapya tat puram, this viveka has come. There is no happiness outside. One could discriminate what is real, what is unreal. That happiness is not there. All temporary it is. And yet I want happiness. I want to be happy. And I want to be happy 24/7, every moment. Not the temporary happiness for a few seconds or a minute, few minutes or an hour or two or a day or two. No, not like that. So then comes all the qualifications, viveka, vairagya. Once we understand that there is no happiness in the external world, then only the mind can withdraw from the external world. As long as the mind thinks that there is some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness there in the external world, we can derive out of that, then the mind will keep running into the external world, into the useless activities. The same thing again and again we keep repeating. So as long as that is there, then we cannot be seeker. Once the mind has understood that there is no sukha anywhere in the outside world, then only the mind is sufficiently withdrawn. The vairagya comes. The viveka, vairagya comes. So that qualification is there. Mind is sufficiently purified by the Nishkam Karma Yoga. And the other Shat Sampatti, the Shama, Dama, Uparama, the 3-1, the control of the mind, control of the senses, and the withdrawal of the mind from the external world. So control of the mind, control of the senses, and the withdrawal. Withdrawal can come only with vairagya, withdrawal of the mind from the external world. And then titiksha. Titiksha is forbearance. Certain things are there, we have no choice but to bear it. Now, if there is cold, we sufficiently protect ourselves, but even after that, if we are feeling cold, then we have to simply bear it. If it is hot, we sufficiently protect ourselves from the heat, but we are still feeling warm and hot, then we have to bear it. That is forbearance, that is titiksha. Titiksha doesn't mean that going out in the cold and sitting without any clothes in the snow. No, that is not titiksha. We have to protect ourselves, and still, if we are affected, we have to simply bear it. That is titiksha, forbearance. And shraddha has to be there. Shraddha in the existence of the absolute truth. Shraddha in the Shruti. And Shraddha, Shruti Vakya, the words of the scriptures, the absolute truth. So Shraddha in the absolute truth, Shraddha in the scriptures that talk about that absolute truth. Shraddha in the Sadguru, and Shraddha in our own self. So that has to be there. And Samadhana, the tranquility has to be there. The peace of mind has to be there. Samadhana, the contentment. So this Tat Purvam Upatta sadhana. Then the qualification is that. Then the last but not the least, mumukshutvam, a burning desire for liberation from all the bondages, all the limitations. A burning desire has to be there. Enough is enough. Too much of it. Now, no more suffering like this. We have suffered millions of lives like that. Every time we take a form, it will be limited. There will be a mixture of sukha and dukkha. We cannot take a form with only sukha, 100% sukha and no dukkha experience. It is impossible. Because the sanchit karma has got mixture of all this. So whenever a form is taken, the mixture will come. So some good experiences, some happy experiences, and some miserable experiences will be there. So taking form means this is the mishrana will be there. So the best thing is that not to take the form. So therefore, that burning desire of mumukshutvam has to be there. I don't want to take the form ever again. This is my last. And with Shraddha, we have to say that I don't know whether I really will realize the self before dropping the body. There is a doubt expressed there. That means there is some flaw in Shraddha. No, I have to realize it before the body is dropped. Whether it will happen or not, there should be no suspicion, no doubt in that. One should not resign to one's fate. I am too old now. It's too late for me. You see, let this life go. Maybe next life I should try from the beginning. And what will you do for the rest of your life in this present life? Continue the previous whatever you are doing. So the thing is that we have to come at a firm decision. Samapya tat purvam upata sadhanaha samashrayet sadgurum atmalabdhayi. Then surrender, samashrayet, surrender. There should be one altar in this world where we surrender completely without any reservation. That surrender has to be there. That surrender itself is called Shraddha. Shraddha is not just faith, but the element of surrender has to be there. Without the element of surrender, the Shraddha has got no meaning. You see, when that surrender is there, element of surrender is there, then there is no doubts. Then there is no worries. There is no chinta. So when that total surrender is there, then there will be no worry. When we have mere faith, mere vishwas, mere faith, but the surrender is not there, then time and again the worries will crop up. What if this happens? What if that happens? This kind of things keep on coming up. So surrender has to be there. Worrying, we have made our second nature. We worry about everything because we have no surrender. We have no Shraddha. If we have surrendered to an entity, there has to be one altar in this world where we surrender completely. Let him take over. And our prarabdha will guide our life. That is, of course, there. Why should we worry? But we have to do our duty. Whatever we are supposed to do at this moment, that we have to do. Full efficiency. So, samashraya, this surrender has to be there. Surrender, Sadguru. So, we have to surrender to Sadguru. Sadguru may be manifest or unmanifest. Ultimately, our own Atmaram is our Sadguru. So, the surrender has to be there. And you see, if we have accepted somebody as our Sadguru and we have surrendered, more than that Sadguru, that surrender will help us. I'll give an example that is a famous example that comes from Mahabharata. Eklavya wanted to learn archery. And he wanted to learn it from the greatest teacher at that time, Dronacharya. So he approached Dronacharya, but Dronacharya didn't accept him because he was not a Kshatriya. He was a tribal, he was a Bhil. So he was not accepted. But Eklavya had already accepted Dronacharya as his guru and he had surrendered at his feet. So even though Dronacharya didn't accept him as a disciple and didn't teach him at all. So what did Eklavya do? Eklavya built a statue of Dronacharya. And then in his presence, he started practicing archery. And see the power of that Shraddha. He went on to become the greatest archer, even greater than Arjuna. And of course, Dronacharya had promised Arjuna that he will be the greatest archer of his time. And then suddenly Eklavya appears with the skills of archery much superior to Arjuna. So now Dronacharya has to fulfill his promise to Arjuna. So he asked this Eklavya, how did you attain this archery? Where did you learn from? Who taught you? So he said that you are my guru, I learned from you. If you consider me as your guru, then you have to give me Guru Dakshina. So to fulfill his own words, he took that poor Eklavya's right hand thumb. So without the thumb, that archery skills is useless. Just to fulfill his promise to Arjuna, he did that. So this is how things are. So the Tatparya here is that Shraddha, though Dronacharya personally never taught Eklavya, but what taught Eklavya is his own Shraddha in Dronacharya taught him. That Shraddha is very important. Shraddha can work miracles. Many people want to see miracles, but they don't have Shraddha. Have Shraddha and you can start seeing miracles in your life. So Samashrayet Sadguru, having surrendered to Sadguru, for what purpose? Atma Labdhaye, to attain the knowledge of the self. Atma Labdhaye. Samashrayet. So this is what the instruction now Lord Rama is giving to Lakshmana. Then he is explaining what the karmas do in the next shloka, shlok 8. Kriya sharirodbhava heturadhruta priya priyautau bhavatas suraginaha dharmaitarau tatra punah sharirakam punah kriya chakravadiriyate bhava. Kriya sharirodbhava hetuhu adhruta priya apriyautau bhavata suraginaha dharma itarau tatra punah sharirakam punah kriya chakravardiyate bhava. So now kriya karma is the cause of sharira udbhava hetu adhruta. So this karma is the cause of the manifestation of body again and again. You see, kriya sharir udbhava hetu adhruta. How this karma is the cause of this manifestation of body again and again? Because we have accumulated vasanas. Vasanas give rise to desires. Desires will make us restless unless we fulfill those desires. So desires will pull us into activities, this karma, to fulfill those desires. And once we complete the karma action and we get the result of that action, one of the two things will happen. The result will be beneficial or result may not be beneficial. Either it will give us sukha or it may give us dukkha also, depending upon the result. Both will bind us, because if it produces sukha, then we'll get attached to that. Then we want to repeat it again and again. And if it gives dukkha, then we'll develop dvesh for that, hatred for that. That is also cause of karmic bondage. As much as attachment is a cause of karmic bondage, so also hatred is also a cause of karmic bondage. Dvesha, dislike, hatred, that is also a cause for karmic bondage. Raga, dvesha. So then this will continue. Then we have to perform some karma. then that will give again the bhoga, sukha dukkha bhoga, it will give the root. And again it will create new vasanas, new karmas, then new vasanas, then new desires, then again new karmas, and it will go on continuously. By the time the body drops, and instead of exhausting the existing vasanas and finishing it off there, what happens is that the existing vasana, of course, we are exhausting, at the same time we are creating some new vasanas also. So now, by the time the body comes to an end, then we think that I didn't experience that, I didn't experience this, I wish I would have gone there, I wish I would have experienced this and all that. And then this body finishes, and there are so many other vasanas, unfulfilled desires, vasanas to be manifested, and then again another body comes. So kriya sharira udbhava hetu adruta priya apriya. So sometimes the desirable or those activities that are helpful or beneficial, and that which is harmful also, those desires, those activities will be performed. Tau bhavata suragina, those who are extremely attached to their own body, gross body, because of the attachment to the gross body, and the desires are for that only, to satisfy the mind, the gross body and the senses. So the desires for that. So the one who is attached to that, again, the person will get engaged into activities. Priya, apriya. Something which we may like to do, something which is beneficial to us, something which is harmful to us, we may get involved in those activities. Dharma itarav, dharma and adharma also. The righteous actions and unrighteous actions also. So we can get into that also. Dharma itarav, tatra puna sharirakam, and then that will give rise to again the body. Tatra puna sharirakam, puna kriya chakravardiyate bhavah. So again this karma, and then this cycle goes on. So a body we got, then the vasanas are there, vasanas is manifest desire, then desire will make us go into karmas, activities, we'll do the activities, we'll get the result, if we get attached to the fruits of those results, if that is giving us some kind of happiness, then we want to do it again and again, and then new activities we get involved in, new vasanas are developed, new desires are manifesting, and that will go on, and then again the body is dropped, new body is taken. So this cycle goes on. Bhava. Bhava is the sansara, or bhava, that is to become. So the present is the effect of the cumulative past, all the karmas that we have done, and the present, all the accumulated karmas, the cumulative effect of the past modified in the present becomes our own future. This is how it goes on. So new karmas and new thoughts and new emotions that will give to different desires, give rise to different desires. So, but whatever desires we fulfill, whatever sukha dukkha that we get, they will all be within the limitations of space, time and object. They will be limited in time, that is all momentary, temporary, fleeting. So that will be limited in time, and that causes bondage also. So these are the actions that will create more bondage instead of getting rid of those bondages. Then we are again bound in the limitations of space-time. And we want the infinite bliss, which cannot come by this. And that is how we get caught up into this endless cycle of birth and death, one after the other. There is no end to it. Then, continuing further, ninth shloka, Ajnanamevasya hi moola karanam tadhanamevatra vidhau vidhiyate vidyaiva tannasha vidhau patiyasi nakarma tajjam savirodhamiritam. Ajnanam eva asya hi moola karanam tad hanam eva atra vidhau vidhiyate vidya eva tat nasha vidhau patiyasi na karma tajjam savirodhamiritam. So now here ajnanam eva asya hi mula karanam. Ignorance alone is the root cause of the sansara, of the cycle of birth and death, and root cause of all our sorrows, miseries, and pain. Our own ignorance and nothing else. We suffer because of our own ignorance. We cannot blame anyone else. We have our own ignorance because of which we suffer in life. Ajnanam eva asya hi mula karan. That is the root cause of all our sufferings, all our limitations, all the bondages that we get trapped into. It is only ignorance alone. Tad hanam eva atra vidhav vidhiyate. So tad hanam. Hanam means the destruction. The destruction of that ignorance alone is what is said, is what is taught, what is considered. So that is the prescribed vidhi given us, vidhiyate, the remedy. Vidya eva tat nasha vidhav patiyasi. Vidya, that is knowledge alone, is that which can destroy ignorance. If ignorance is the cause of a misery, then knowledge alone can destroy that ignorance and nothing else. So, vidya eva tad nasha vidhav patiyasi. That alone, patiyasi, is efficiently, perfectly, fully. So, this knowledge alone can destroy. If ignorance, my own ignorance, is the cause of all my sorrow, misery, and pain and trouble that I am in, then only that knowledge can destroy it and nothing else. That can destroy it completely, fully, perfectly, efficiently. So, na karma tajjam savirodham iritam. So, this karma cannot destroy the ignorance. Why can't karma destroy the ignorance? Because karma is the product of ignorance. Karma is born out of ignorance. How can karma destroy ignorance? So, since karma is a product of ignorance, karma is not opposed to ignorance. So, how will karma destroy ignorance if it is not opposed to ignorance and it is a product of ignorance? So, whatever karmas we do, some people spend their entire life into karma, doing karma, social work, this and that, and at the end of their life, they are frustrated. There is end to it. Karma has to be done, like the purpose, but there is an end to it also. And if that is not done, then at the end of life, there is frustration. So, this karma, they cannot destroy. Darkness can't be removed by pouring out bucket full of darkness outside the room. It is karma pouring this thing out. No. If darkness has to be removed, light has to be brought in. With one matchstick, we can remove the darkness instantly. However ancient that darkness may be. In an ancient cave, nobody visited that. First time somebody visits, and thousands of years of darkness is removed by lighting just one matchstick. So that is all that is required. So, only by light alone. So also this karma can't destroy this ignorance. Being the product of ignorance, it cannot destroy. Therefore, this we have to get rid of ajnana, ignorance, through knowledge alone, not through karma. नाज्ञान हानिर्न चराग संक्षयोः भवेत् ततः कर्म सदोषमुद्भवेत् ततः पुनः संस्कृतिरप्यवारिता तस्माद् बुद्धो ज्ञान विचारवान् भवेत्. न अज्ञान हानि ही न च राग संक्षयः भवेत् ततः कर्म सदोषमुद्भवेत् ततः पुनः संस्कृति अपि अवारिता तस्मात् बुधः ज्ञान विचारवान भवेत्. So न अज्ञान हानि ही न च राग संक्षय. Karma cannot destroy the ignorance, nor it reduces the attachment, asakti, raga samshaya, not can it reduce the asakti. So now karma is there are so many products of ignorance. What are the products of ignorance? Karma is one of the products of ignorance. There are other products of ignorance also. What are they? So one is the ego. Ego sense or the jiva bhava, that is also product of ignorance only. So ego is a product of ignorance. Sense of limitation, that is a product of ignorance. Then this karta bhokta bhava. Karta bhokta bhava is also the doership notion and the experiencership notion. That is also product of ignorance only. So, and then the resultant thing. So these are the products of ignorance. So ego, sense of limitations, the doership karta bhokta bhava, and the karma, they are all products of ignorance. So these cannot destroy ignorance. They are not opposed to ignorance. They are product of ignorance. Their existence is because of ignorance. So how can they destroy ignorance? Neither they can reduce the attachment also to karma phala. So bhave tata karma sadosham udbhavet. So because of this doership notion and experiencership notion, and again doing this karma, then we are afflicted with strong karmic bondage. Sadosha mudbhavet. Karma sadosha mudbhavet. The strong karmic bondage is created because of this karta bhokta bhava. Tata puna samskriti hi api avarita. Tata puna. Then again it becomes the cause of sansara, unavoidable, avarita, inevitable. It cannot be avoided. It is inevitable. That becomes the cause of sansara. Then again caught up in the birth and death cycle, janma mrityu cycle, the chakra. So tata puna sansara api, sanskruti api avarita, tasmad buddha jnana vicharavan bhave. Therefore, those who are wise seekers, they contemplate on the supreme reality, the pure self, the supreme reality, the absolute truth, leaving all the karmas aside. So as earlier it was told in the 7th shloka also, whatever the initial karmas are there, according to Varna and Ashrama, having fulfilled all the duties, then one has to give that thing up. While we are doing that, sufficient amount of viveka and vairagya should develop. Grihastha ashram is to develop vairagya. To develop viveka and vairagya through the various experiences in the Grihastha ashram, dealing with different types of egos under the same roof. This is Grihastha ashram. And that is how the vairagya is developed. So Grihastha ashram is a spiritual sadhana. If we take it as a spiritual sadhana, then we will not suffer too much. Otherwise, we will suffer too much. So, tasmad buddha jnana vicharavan. Therefore, the wise seekers then they contemplate on higher reality. That is how they inquire and that is how they live. This original sin is our refusal to recognize our essential nature. This is due to ignorance. Our refusal to recognize that is the result of ignorance only. And karma being not contrary to ignorance, so this karma is incapable of destroying this ignorance. So one has to focus, contemplate on the higher reality, having done all the duty. Therefore, our scriptures have given clear instructions. The 4 ashramas are there: Brahmacharya, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa ashram. It is very rare ones that those who jump from brahmacharya ashram to sannyasa ashram. Otherwise, one goes to this process to develop sufficient vairagya. Those who have developed sufficient vairagya from the previous life, so instantly they take to this vairagya in this life. So then they go to the sannyasa ashram. Otherwise, one goes to this grihastha ashram. Grihastha ashram is needed to develop the vairagya. Without grihastha ashram, vairagya will not be developed. The experiences of grihastha ashram will bring the vairagya. And then we'll continue with the next shloka in our next session. So now, if anybody has got any questions on the previous 5 shlokas, you can ask.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Yeah. In shlok number 7, we have to surrender completely to the teacher to recognize ourselves. So how do we know we have surrendered completely to the teacher? As per the student, it might be we have surrendered, but the teacher must be not having that surrender is complete.
A very simple test whether we have surrendered or not, that is Shraddha. Shraddha is a complete surrender at the feet of the teacher, of the Sadguru or the Lord or Ishta Devata, whoever it may be. So what is the test that we have surrendered completely? There is only one test. If we have surrendered completely at one altar in this world, then there will be no trace of any worries in our mind, in any corner of our mind. If there is any trace of any worry in any corner of our mind, that means there is some flaw in our surrender.
Okay.
That is the only test.
And secondly, in that same verse, it was said that we have to give up our old karmas. That can be done only when we are surrendering to the teacher, and the teacher helps us to recognize ourselves. The old karmas, how they will go until we are surrendering to the teacher or something other than that.
The old karmas obviously drop off. You see, now whatever as a grihastha in the grihastha ashrama that we did, at that time we had the responsibility of the family. So we were engaged in artha purushartha and kama purushartha, earning money and fulfilling the desires of our own desires and the family members' desires. So once, as I said, we become vanaprastha as soon as our youngest child gets married. So when that child is married off, then we are no more grihastha, then we become vanaprastha. So all our duties that were required in a grihastha ashrama, that is over now. So all those karmas that we are doing in the grihastha ashrama, no more we are required to do that. Then the next generation takes over. They will take all the responsibilities for running the household. You see?
Yes.
Then what we need to do is that then we are going towards vanaprastha. The day we have married off our last child, we have become vanaprastha already. So that is how we have to change our track. We should not continue with the same thing. Of course, people don't leave the grihastha ashrama. Now that the children are all married, now I want to see my grandchild, you see.
Yes,
and
sir.
then, of course, now after seeing the grandchild, then what more now? Now at least we become vanaprastha. No, actually, I want to see my grandchild's marriage. So then at least you move towards vanaprastha. No, one last wish is there. I want to be a great grandparent. So one is stuck into the grihastha ashrama. With all the band baja, one enters the grihastha ashram from brahmacharya ashram and then gets stuck there. They never leave grihastha ashrama. They never become vanaprastha or sannyasi. Vanaprastha or sannyasi doesn't mean that you have to leave your home and go to some forest and stay there. No, you can be a vanaprastha or sannyasi at home itself. There are so many grihastha mahatmas, realized masters, who didn't leave their homes and go to forests or mountains. They were very much at home. They took care of their family also and all that thing, and yet they were realized masters. Eknath Maharaj, Namdev Maharaj, Tukaram Maharaj, Nisarata Maharaj, they were all grihasthas. They did their duties. They remained at home. They became vanaprastha. They became sannyasi. They were perfect sannyasi being in the grihastha ashram. So that is possible. But we have to mentally at least leave that grihastha ashram and those duties. We should not be
attached. Yes.
no, we should not be in the know of what is happening in the house. Every small thing, like as a Grihastha, we were very much there. Every small thing that I should know what is happening. Now we have handed over the responsibility to someone. Let that person handle it.
Yes,
So we should not bother about that.
yes,
But
Swami.
we don't leave a Grihastha. That is what it is. Till the end,
Thank you.
remain in the Grihastha.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you very much.
Swamiji, I have one small query related to the last two shlokas that we did. Can we say that Viveka or power of discrimination is the outcome of knowledge? Number one. Number two, if Viveka is the outcome of knowledge, then an action taken with the idea and understanding with through the power of discrimination and taking the Sat Karma and the right path, how will that be born out of ignorance?
Generally, Vivek is born out of our own experience. When we start discriminating, our own experience that we undergo. Like, for example, we keep on, now the simple thing in Grihastha Ashram is that we earn money, we fulfill our desires. This is going on. Then one fine day when we cross 45, 50, 55, one fine day we sit and how many desires have come in my mind? How many desires are already fulfilled? So much time, effort and money I spent on that. I fulfill those desires. And I seem to get some kind of joy, pleasure or happiness, but nothing has given me a permanent happiness. They gave me some kind of happiness, no doubt, but they were just for a few seconds, few minutes, a few hours, a day or two, that's it. And after that, I was back to square one. And then some other desire propped up. Then again, I was after that. I spent time, effort, and money to fulfill that desire. And again, I got some kind of pleasure. But then again, it was temporary. So one fine day, when one starts thinking like that, then one is developing the discriminative intellect. Now he starts discriminating. I want to be happy, no doubt, but I want a permanent happiness. And this is not giving. The very fact that I want to be happy, that means my nature should be also happiness. Nobody wants to be miserable. Nobody desires to be miserable. I desire to be miserable. Nobody says that. So I want to be happy. At the same time, the places where I go to get my happiness, the things and beings through which I am trying to draw happiness, that is not giving me permanent happiness. At some point in time, when you start thinking like that, then you start developing that vairagya. That viveka buddhi is there, then you start developing the vairagya. Well, outside things, I have done so many things, but nothing has given me any permanent happiness. Indulge in this, indulge in that, this place, this object, that object, this food, that food, this scenery, that scenery, and so many things. And yet, I'm back to square one. That should dawn. See, that is how one goes towards vairagya. This with viveka. Now he's thinking with viveka. He has not studied any scriptures or anything like that. But he's sitting, he's an intelligent man. He's sitting and thinking. He's grihastha. And then only, what is the way of knowing this thing? What is this all world about? If this is the only way, if I have to come and suffer like that, some things give me happiness, temporarily only they give me happiness. And then one day this body will die and that's the end of it. What is that? So he's thinking in those lines. That means he's on the right track now. He is developing viveka, and viveka will give him vairagya. Though he is not exposed to the scriptures as yet. He has not gone to any guru. He is not thinking about the spiritual life as yet. He is only thinking of happiness. And how he is not getting happiness from this world, a permanent happiness. He is only thinking on those lines. But that will give him viveka and vairagya. And that is how slowly he will progress.
Thank you.
Swamiji.
Yes.
Hello. I have one question. It's a little delicate question and it creates sometimes conflict in my mind. about the having a guru. Since I started understanding at the age of the spirituality, at a various until yesterday meaning until 19 months back, I had different gurus, teachers have contributed in my understanding of the subject. And certain teachers are still my favorite. If I have to name them, then there are 3-4 teachers. I'm fascinated by them, even still today. Then came Satya Sai Baba in my life. I read lots of things what and said by him, and my exposure to Satya Sai Baba is little different than even my spouse or anybody else. What I liked his statement was, the purpose of the life is only self-realization. This is what he said. And for me also, in as far as the guru is concerned, he is my guru with the form. But my understanding of the spirituality and the subjects has put me as on today that my greatest guru is, as on today, is myself only. Pure consciousness, what we label it. Ultimate Atmaram. Now, this creates a little conflict in my mind. I cannot give up my guru with the form. I cannot give up because I prostrate before I start my any activity or even my meditation, contemplation, whatever. He comes to my mind first. I take his blessings and then start whatever the contemplation I have to do on the lines that you have been teaching us. So I cannot give him help after understanding. And as you have mentioned, and this last 19 months also, that after knowing the goal, you have known all the ornaments. Now, if I know, I have even conceptually known the pure consciousness within me, the self within me. I have known all my past gurus, including Satya Sai Baba. So, should I give up the guru with the form and stick to go deeper into this pure consciousness and self? This is my question. But if I do that, it creates a conflict in my mind. What about about the guru with the form?
There is no conflict whatsoever. First thing, we have to understand what is Guru. Guru is a teaching principle. And that teaching principle can come with a form or it can be without a form also. It can be in manifest form, it can be in unmanifest form. Dattatreya Avadhuta had not 1 or 2 gurus, but 24 gurus. Any teaching principle, anything from what he learned, that knowledge, for that knowledge, he considered that entity as his guru. In that, animals are also included, human beings are also there, animals are also there, insentient things are also there, space was also his guru, fire, water, earth, wind, animals also, python, pigeon, and child also, and even a prostitute was his guru. So, Guru is not a particular form or a particular name. Guru is a teaching principle. And if we know that as a teaching principle, and if we are alert, every moment his entire existence is teaching us. We have to be alert to that teaching principle. So one has to understand that. So it can be in manifest form or it can be in unmanifest form. It doesn't matter. So there is absolutely no conflict.
No, but find it difficult to give up the form.
Well, that the teaching principle, you take it in a form, or a manifest form or unmanifest form, it doesn't matter. One manifest form is Satya Sai Baba. So the teachings can come through unmanifest form also. And one manifest form from whom the teachings have come to you is Satya Sai Baba. So where is the conflict? There is no conflict. Absolutely.
This is the conflict is here, Swamiji. I clung to Satya Sai Baba all these years. Today you are asking me to be follow the market what you call market nyaya. Here I feel that I'm on my. You are asking me to stand on my own legs. Until then, I had his at least form as the support. His love, my experience of him, my close association with him, all those were acting as the support, you know.
So that is always there. That's no problem. That is always there. You don't have to be worried about that you are losing his support or anything like that. So, because then you merge into him, isn't it? Because no guru want his disciple to hang on to him. Guru is not a mule to hang on to him. You see, Guru want to make you stand on your own feet, not hang on to him.
Then what do you say about the marjan nyaya?
To be independent. You see?
Okay.
He will give you the means. He will give you the means to stand on your own feet and walk the path. Because ultimately, each and every one of us will walk our spiritual path alone. 10 people going to the same temple, using the same route every day, even their footprints will not match. So each and every one of us will walk our own unique path to the ultimate goal. So he points us out the path, he makes us independent, makes us stand on feet, and ensures that we walk to our goal. We march to our goal. You see, that is what he does. So where is the conflict? I don't see any conflict. You see him in form or you see him without form. All forms are his, and he is formless.
Swamiji, the conflict is in my house only. One wants to follow marjan nyaya. I want to follow market nyaya. And so sometimes there is a conflict. I'm quite firmly.
There should not be any conflict at all. If you have understood the principle very well.
Then why Shastras have talked about marjan nyaya and market nyaya?
Marjan, some people want to become marjan, and some people want to be the market nyaya. Marjan nyaya and market nyaya. So either you hang on to the monkey, or the cat will pick you up. So Guru's job is to make you independent.
Right. Yes.
Make you stand on your feet, not hang on to him. He is not a mule guru to carry his disciple. And ultimately, it is said that when Guru helps you to cross the Bhava Sagar, when you cross the Bhava Sagar and when you look back, there is neither the Guru nor the Sagar. Because you are not separate from him. You are not other than him. You are not separate from him. That is the non-dual reality.
Correct. Swamiji, somewhere in 1988, I did Aparoksha Anubhuti under the Tadubhavan Swamiji. At the end of the Aparoksha Anubhuti, he said, the real Guru, if a student will develop an attachment towards the Guru, a real Guru will kick him out of his ashram. once he knows that the student is matured.
The bird also kicks out once the egg hatches, the young birds are there, it will kick out of the nest. So that they should learn to fly, you see. They can't keep sitting in the cage, in the nest. They have to be kicked out. we have to be out of our comfort zone. So whenever you are out of your comfort zone, that is when you learn and progress and develop. That is why sannyasi's life is not being in one place permanently. They keep on moving to different places. And when they keep on moving to different places, so they have to go through all those different circumstances and situations. Everywhere it is not the same. So that is how you examine your mind. What is going on in the mind? Is the mind revolting? So you're always out of your comfort zone, going here, there, and all that thing. Sannyasi's life is like that, going from one place to another place. And everywhere it is not the same weather, same environment, same facilities, and same things like that. But you have to make adjustments. And it is not that, oh, I'm quite comfortable here. It's quite cozy. I don't want to get out of this environment. That is not the way we progress or develop. Progress and development is always when we are out of our comfort zone.
Thank you very much, Swami.
Okay, so shall we conclude?
Yes, Swami.
Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.